Hi, I'm Joe Bressler, and I'm a director and sometimes cinematographer based in Brooklyn, New York. Last summer I shot a show that just aired on PBS, and it's a 4-part series with hour-long episodes about artists and performers hosted by actor Dule Hill. The show is a pretty ambitious undertaking overall, filming over the course of 2 months, and I shot the project alongside my friend Larkin Donnelly. Today I want to explore 5 rules for effectively covering a documentary scene that we use when making this show, but generally apply to any project you're working on. The first rule would be treat every moment as if it's usable. What does this mean? Well, when you're shooting a documentary, especially cinema verite, you're usually filming for a long time. You may have some idea of the story you want to capture, or have an idea of what you think is going to happen. The problem is it's impossible to predict with certainty when the defining moment of a scene will occur, and it's definitely not repeatable. You really don't want to have that moment occur at a time when you're not paying attention or you don't have the best possible frame. Now, what makes a shot beautiful? This could be a whole video, book, course, lifetime of learning, but number one, I'd identify where the light is coming from in the room or environment that you're in and shoot towards it. So if you're shooting outside, I would try to shoot towards the sun or have the sun on the far side of the subject that you're shooting. And if the scene is inside, I would try to shoot towards a lamp or try to have the lamp on the other side of the subject from where the camera is. The second thing is you want to make sure that you have a steady hand and shoot towards the region of the room with greatest depth. Because the more depth there is behind a subject, the more opportunity there is for focus to fall off, so that the audience knows where to focus when they're watching the film. When you're shooting a documentary, especially if you're following a conversation as a single operator, you should always be thinking about what's going to happen next in a scene. This way you'll ensure the best possible coverage of important moments with the smoothest transitions between speakers or actions. It's important to remember that these transitions will often be used in the final cut of the film, so they should be considered part of the shot. Some people consider rules to be limitations, and by definition, I guess they are. But rules can also inspire creativity and help foster distinct visual language in a film, something that I think is one of the difficulties of documentary with its relatively unpredictable nature. Some rules you might consider setting could include things like shooting the entire film on a tripod in order to make more deliberate compositional choices, using a certain focal length when filming a particular character to try to match their perception of the world, or only shooting handheld for scenes that feel uncertain or turbulent. Choosing a camera for a documentary project is a balancing act between access and support. What camera do you have access to consistently, and what is the level of support that you need to operate that camera? If you're working alone, for example, ideally you would want a camera that's easy to manage in that situation. So that would be something with batteries that last forever and takes cards with a high capacity. If you're working with a team, you can be more flexible on upgrading the camera and adapting to the corresponding needs of that system. A good example of a solo operator camera would be like an FX3 or 6 or 9, and a camera more suited for a team would be an Alexa Mini LF as examples. I'm sure you could manage to rig an Alexa Mini LF to work by yourself, and I'm sure you could work with an FX3 with a team. Your goal in creating a documentary is to capture life unfolding in real time, which means that your presence should create the least influence possible on the scene in front of you. As a rule, in my opinion, your first priority should be to capture everything you need to tell your story without interrupting the scene, and only pick up sound bites or ask questions when absolutely necessary. The goal in a true cinema verite documentary is to tell the story as observationally as possible. Not interrupting can also mean choosing the right equipment to allow you to roll for as long as possible without stopping down or pausing to swap cards, batteries, or make any other disruptive adjustments while a scene is happening.